Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. I hope you had a great weekend. I'm going to talk a little bit about mine in just a moment. But today we're going to talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She literally is the gift that keeps on giving. Well, she's come out now with a statement basically dismissing all of this grab, smash and grab, the looting, especially that's been happening in California, but other places as well. She's saying there's really no evidence that it's organized and it's being overblown and everything else. And she's getting a bit of pushback from that, especially from retailers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then hopefully we'll have time to get into our second story, and I title it White Folks with Guns. There's a congressman that is getting in a little bit of heat because he posted a great Christmas picture all about the Second Amendment and his family, and we'll get into it in a little bit. But before we go any further, I always have to talk about at the top of the show opportunities for you, and boy do I have a great one. Check out Big Daddy Unlimited. Look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching it. Click on the link BDU, Big Daddy Unlimited, and you will get factory direct pricing on all things Second Amendment. And nothing says Merry Christmas and I love you like a little stocking stuffer of some ammunition, or maybe, a 9mm in that stocking. That really says I love you and I want to protect you. But you're never going to beat the prices on Big Daddy Unlimited. They're all things Second Amendment, guns, ammunition, delivered directly to your door at factory direct pricing, as well as over 100,000 related items. And if you want to know just how good a deal you can get, check out the show that precedes us, Denny's Deals. Denny comes on at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. He goes across our John Martin Talks Facebook page. He's also on an excluded page. To get to excluded, you spell excluded by dropping the E, just put the big X up there, excluded Facebook page. But then he comes on for about 15 or 20 minutes every morning. He takes a few products from the Big Daddy Unlimited arsenal. He talks about them, demonstrates them, but then he gives you the manufactured direct pricing you would get if you were a member of BDU. So once you see just how good the savings are, get excited. I know you will. Go back above our video, click on that link to BDU, follow the directions. You'll be helping yourself to great savings and helping our show at the same time. Well, let me just tell you real quickly about my weekend. A lot of you who have been tuned into the show know that they call me the old salty dog, the fish whisperer, make fishing great again. I went fishing this weekend, had a great trip. I ended up winning the jackpot. That's me standing there with the big grouper, 23-pound gag grouper. Good friend of mine that watches the show won the snapper out there. His name is Ronnie, and of course that's Captain. That is the captain there beside us, and Captain Brian that put us on the fish. And we had a stellar weekend. The weather was almost too good, if there is such a thing. But I hope you had as glorious a weekend as I did. Got some sad news to report before we get too deep into the other stories, and that is the death of Bob Dole. Bob Dole passed away over the weekend at 98 years old. And I got to tell you, I've had mixed feelings politically about Bob Dole, and I'll talk about it. We're just going to talk for a few minutes about it. But I will say this, Bob Dole is a true blue American hero. I don't care what party you're in, whether you like his politics or not, whether you supported his presidential runs. And of course, special condolences to his family and friends and supporters in the great state of Kansas, where he served as a senator for so long. But Bob Dole really was and is an American hero. Served valiantly in World War II, got injured and dealt with this the rest of his life, but never let it be a crutch or anything. In fact, he spent a lot of his life consoling and helping veterans and those types of things. And Bob Dole is about as establishment as you can possibly get with the Republican Party, right? That's just a fact. But he actually was a Trump supporter. Now, was Donald Trump his first choice? Possibly not. But he got behind Donald Trump in a big way, both in his 2016 election and his 2020 re-election. Bob Dole stood up for the American people and did the right thing. He wasn't one of these never-Trumpers. He was true blue. I do believe he was a conservative. One of the funniest things that I remember about Bob Dole is he had a great sense of humor, and it was self-deprecating to a certain extent humor, and I really appreciate that because that's kind of how I am. But I'll never forget, I would have played it, but I was worried about copyright stuff, but you can easily search it out. He did a Pepsi commercial with Britney Spears. It's really funny because basically he's sitting there in like his den with this dog he has, and Britney gets in, and this is when she was, boy, in her prime, and she's shaking her money maker for all she's got up there, and the dog goes, "Hur, hur," and Bob Dole says, well, I can't remember the dog's name, he says, "Quiet, boy, easy now, easy now." It was funny. Anyway, I digress, but Bob Dole, I'm sure will be flying flags, half staff, and I don't know exactly what he deserves. If anybody deserves to lie in state, it's probably Bob Dole, but I don't know how that's all. But anyway, as I say, great American, great patriot, great hero to this country. Prayers go out to his friends and family and all those people who supported Bob Dole. All right, let's get into one that don't have too much respect for, if any at all, and that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's like I either have to whisper her name or I have to kind of shout it out like I'm in the Rumble somewhere. By the way, Rumble, we're on live every day now in Rumble. Great way to watch our show is to check out Rumble. Good morning, Rumblers and YouTubers. We're still out of YouTube jail. I thought we'd probably be taken off by now, but I'm not wishing that. I'm still trying to get in there and stay in it. By the way, too, if you want to see our show archived, a great way, I mentioned Excluded earlier, go to your app store and get the Excluded app. Spell Excluded once again by dropping the E, put the big X up there, Excluded, because you'll see our show archived there on a daily basis, as well as some original programming and some alternative to the mainstream media. But we're grateful for all of you watching us at every time. All right, this is a Breitbart story. Ocasio-Cortez blasted for dismissing organized retail theft crime wave. In other words, the smash and grab that we've been seeing. It looks pretty organized to me. I haven't shown this meme in a while, but isn't that true? The late, great Marty Feldman from Young Frankenstein. That's another one. Side note, if you haven't ever seen that Mel Brooks movie, it is really worth watching. Most of Mel Brooks' stuff is just genius. Some of it you probably can't even play. He couldn't even produce them today because they're not politically correct. But anyway, back to this story. Openly socialist, and I would even say communist if she knows what that means, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York has been getting blasted for attempting to downplay the smash and grab crime wave that has been destroying retail outlets in recent months. Well, we played this last week, but this should not be surprising coming out from Ms. Cortez, because you remember when we were having the riots in 2020, the summer of fire and brimstone across the United States of America. Do you remember what Ocasio-Cortez said about the people stealing Gucci's and everything else and smashing and grabbing back then? Well, let's just play what she said, that, sympathy. The Democrats, these progressives, man, they have sympathy for these criminals. I'll show you a little bit later that I don't. But listen to what Ocasio-Cortez says right here.
So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. They need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe have to, they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
Shoplifting bread. So they're trying to feed their child. So the people that are like, running the Mercedes-Benz into the front of the store in Chicago and just stripping everything out, is to feed the children. I never knew people like Ocasio-Cortez cared so much about the children. I thought they were like, my body, my choice, and go, wasn't all that screaming. We talked about the SCOTUS abortion case last Friday. As I say, check out our podcast if you haven't seen it. We got some pretty strong numbers on that one. But these people, like, it's just amazing. They care so much about feeding the children that they're like, you know, nothing says I love my baby more than, you know, a briefcase full or a bag full of Gucci's. Never mind that out there in California that they had two guys actually accosted a woman with her baby, you know, that was probably just taking her, I guess they were just needing to feed their child. I mean, it's getting absolutely nuts around the country, and California, as you can imagine, is leading the list. But Ocasio-Cortez, they're just trying to get some bread for their babies. I mean, Lord help us. Speaking with the Washington Times last week, Ocasio-Cortez dismissed the allegations of organized retail theft as a hoax. She said it's a hoax with not much evidence to back it up. But in fairness to Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, she's just going by the Democratic playbook. I don't think she even knows half the time what's going on, but she's reading the Democratic. I guess they get an email about it. Because remember, the Democrats, their answer, and I tell you, as a political junkie, I actually, in a way, admire this. They have found a solution for every crisis facing America, where it's the border crisis, you know, the boat parade crisis off the California, Biden boat parade off the California coast crisis, gasoline crisis, fuel oil crisis, you know, the COVID crisis. They have, of course, that one they believe in. The rest of them they don't seem to. But they've got a solution for every single crisis. It's basically just, what crisis? There is no crisis. When you start talking about violence, and I say the playbook, you remember this one? This has become an oldie but a goldie. Jerry Nadler, when he was asked about what was happening out in Portland about a year ago with Antifa, listen to what his response was. Check it out.
In Portland right now, there's riots.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
About Antifa in Portland?
Yes.
Sir, there's videos everywhere online. There's fires and riots. They're throwing fireworks at federal officers. DHS is there.
Antifa is a myth.
It's crazy, Mr. Nadler.
You know, the people that are like burning, at the time, bombing the courthouse out there, burning down stuff, taking over parts of Portland, Oregon, literally taking over neighborhoods. I don't know, way before that happened in Seattle, it happened out there in Portland. They took over a federal building. Antifa people were following ICE agents to their schools when they were dropping off their children. But Jerry dadgum hot dog eating champ Nadler says, you know, it's just a myth. So I guess in fairness to Ocasio-Cortez, she is staying right in line with this idea that there is no crisis. What crisis? It doesn't exist. Back to this article. A lot of these allegations, this is what Ocasio-Cortez said. Listen to this. A lot of these allegations, now we're not even talking about people, you know, arrested for crimes, but she's talking about they're even saying that it's even happening, like it's a myth. All of these allegations of organized retail theft are not actually panning out. Oh, really? She said, I believe it's a Walgreens in California cited it, but the data didn't back it up. So Walgreens is just lying about the reason why they got to close all their California, San Francisco stores. It's just a myth, right? But when he talks about there's no data, well, you know, this is coming from not a what I would call a conservative outlet. Let's just play a little bit of data for Ocasio-Cortez's so she can at least get up to speed. Check this out.
The most brazen of crimes breaking out across the Golden State.
Smash and grabs, luxury store shakedowns, the pillaging of department stores.
Authorities investigating the latest. This jewelry repair shop in a San Jose mall, $70,000 worth of goods stolen in just 12 seconds. The governor insisting the system is in place that can fix the problem.
Police need to arrest them. Prosecutors need to prosecute them. Judges need to hold people accountable.
This week, officials in Los Angeles announcing the arrest of 14 individuals connected to recent smash and grab robberies.
They work to steal from high-end clothing stores, often using weapons and physical force.
But critics say more action is needed.
They only made 14 arrests in 11 incidents, where at least one of these incidents involved 20 people.
LA Mayor Eric Garcetti calling for an end to the county's no bail policy for some offenders that some say is fueling the surge in crime. This year, criminal activity up more than 8% in San Francisco.
I mean, these politicians, I guess you get the people you vote for out in California. I feel sorry for the great patriots, and there literally are millions of them in California that are just outnumbered, and a lot of them are moving places and coming to Florida. You know, I'm American by birth, Floridian by the grace of God, so welcome to the free state of Florida, free state of Texas. Whatever you're running from in California, New York, and places like that, just don't bring it with you. I'm all for you coming here, and I'm sure Texas would welcome people as well. Just don't bring, you know, don't New York my Florida or whatever. Ocasio-Cortez, and there's rumors of Pelosi wanting to come here. We don't really need y'all, period. Just stay right where you are. But in California, did you listen to those politicians? Gavin Newsom, oh, they just need to arrest them and try them. There's a system. Yeah, right, okay. Just need to arrest them. They arrested, they said, 14 out of this group of 20 or whatever. Do you know that every single one of them has been let out? All 14 people that were arrested for doing that smash with those sledgehammers, you know, that's how they do their shopping for bread. I guess they were smashing those cases because it's kind of hard to find a loaf of bread in the middle of pearls and Rolexes and diamonds, right? I mean, you got to smash through a lot of Rolex watches and diamond jewelry to find a loaf of bread. And then the really sad part about it, and this is where if you love the children, be careful, because you know, if you get a lot of glass, let alone a couple diamonds inside that loaf of bread that's at the bottom of that cabinet somewhere, that could be detrimental to your children. I'm only saying, you know, maybe a new form of abortion, you know, eat a bunch of diamonds and then just see what happens. But it's just ludicrous to have these politicians like the mayor there talking about, oh, they need to do this and that, while they're defunding the dadgum police and everything else. It is absolutely insane. I guess one way to look at it, because of course Ocasio-Cortez is a socialist, an admitted socialist, and they're anti-capitalist, right? Well, apparently they're putting all this goods on some of these sites to sell online, and they're talking about cracking down on them, which is, you know, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's really like putting a Band-Aid on it. I guess this is a new form of socialist capitalism. What was it, Bernie Sanders, socialist Democrats or whatever? So this is socialist capitalism. You go and you smash everything up. You don't find your bread, so oh well, we gotta take these out of there, because these diamonds and pearls and whatever, because they're in the way of the bread coming in. So maybe they'll replace it with bread. So you got, I guess the only industry that's really benefiting from all this is the plywood industry, because of course they're bum rushing Home Depots as well. So you know, I don't know. It's just absolutely insane, man. I get to rambling about it, but it just boggles the mind. Do they actually believe the BS that they're putting out there? It's crazy. There's so many examples actually that they don't. I don't think they believe none of what they're trying to sell us. They're just selling it to us, like Barack Obama worried about COVID and worried about climate control, builds a $30 million mansion on the beach, and then invites everybody to come in there maskless and everything else. And don't get me started on Pelosi. But listen to this, is reported from the AP. Listen to them about this hoax, if you will. National retail groups last month estimated the annual losses to be in the tens of billions of dollars from these smash and grab deals. Some states' attorney generals are supporting a congressional bill that would require more prevention efforts by large online marketplace, where experts say many of the stolen goods are fenced. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, side note, I've been talking about this for a while, but if I say it, it bears repeating. We need to take back our state's attorney generals, because George Soros has taken a lot of them from us, even out there in California, and it is leading to a lot of this condolence of crime. It's unbelievable. The Democrats, let me just say this, I got to get this off my chest. Well, and I'm not talking about every registered Democrats. I'm talking about the Nadlers, the Ocasio-Cortez, the Pelosi's and the Schumers, the people running your party. That's what I'm talking about, running the Democratic Party and running it right into the ground and taking the country with it. It's just amazing. It's one thing for them not to be for, you know, police officers or whatever, but to actually coddle these criminals, these absolute criminals, to feel sorry for the criminals, it just boggles the mind. It just baffles me. But of course, one way to destroy a country from within is to make it totally lawless. And then, of course, when people try to defend themselves, and well, that's a whole nother story. But let's get back to this article. Billy Bob, if you haven't met my psychic sidekick, this is Billy Bob Bass. He keeps me straight here. He's got a Twitter handle, by the way. It's at Billy Bob Bass 1, and mine is at John Martin Talks. We are determined, by the way, to stay in the social media public square. So that's why we need you to be very proactive, like what we're doing, share what we're doing, because we're definitely under the algorithm gun, if you will, and due deference to algorithm. I'm going to try to get you. Let me just ask, Al, I got to ask a question of algorithm. Don't ban me for this. But what would you prefer, some of them soft pajamas or those chocolate-covered cherries? Because I'm going to get you one of the two this Christmas. I've been saying it all along, but algorithm is one powerful dude, so I got to appease algorithm. But this is, back to this story. I'm going to start at the top of this one paragraph. This is by the AP now. The National Retail Groups last month estimated the annual losses to be in the tens of billions of dollars. That's a mythological figure, right? Some states' attorney generals, we need to take them back, supporting congressional bill that would require more prevention efforts by large online marketplaces where experts say many of these are fenced. But, you know, and this is going to be controversial. I know it is, but I just got to tell it like there is another solution. Because it's like, you know, trying to shut down these internet marketing. This solution is the one right there. Because they keep saying we hadn't seen this before. Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have. The Wild West was called the Wild West because it was pretty wild. And they got to the point, I talked about this briefly last week, where they were robbing stagecoaches to the point of shutting them down, gold coming out of mines to the point of shutting down, you know, robbing trains and everything else. And now they're smashing and grabbing out there again. This has happened before. And you know, the only solution I can tell you is this one right here. There has been a solution to this. And this is probably controversial. I'm not calling for violence. I'm just telling you the way it is. Some people got to be put in the ground. Some people got to be given the dirt now. You're not going to put them in prison. You're not going to keep them in jail. You're going to let them bail out with no bail whatsoever. As I just told you in that video we showed earlier, the 14 were arrested, were out on the street the next day. It's going to get a lot worse, and people are going to get fed up with it. And at some point, they're going to be calling for law and order. And who was the law and order president? I think it was Donald J. Trump. Anyway, just last Friday, back to this story, just last Friday, authorities in San Francisco Bay Area conducted what they described as one of the largest retail theft busts in California history, uncovering uncovering upwards of $8 million worth of merchandise from CVS, Target, and Walgreens. So let me ask you this, and this, I know this is, I guess it's controversial Monday. Who's benefiting from this? Who's benefiting from these smash and grab? Maybe old peckerhead rocket guy right there, Jeffrey Bezos. Amazon, do you think it's a coincidence? And I'm not necessarily saying that this is planned by Bezos. He is a big donor to Black Lives Matter and those groups. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. But Bezos, man, his business, he's become the wealthiest man in the world. Him and Elon Musk go back and forth. But second place ain't too bad a place to be. Even after his divorce that cost him like $140 billion, he's back on top again. So who has benefited from this? Places like Amazon. How much longer is it going to be before the crooks wise up and, you know, these stores keep getting boarded up and they're going to be, you know, the new Amazon truck that says a whole lot more or something like that on the back. I pass them all the time on the interstate. Are they going to start being the next stagecoach? When are they going to start robbing trains again? You know it's coming. They're already robbing these cargo ships out there in California and in the freight yard. So is it going to be long before they start stagecoach robbing Amazon? I don't know. But Bezos is definitely benefiting from it. Because here's the thing, I hadn't said this in a while, but if I say it, it bears repeating. Basically what is happening is we're being divided into three groups of people in this country and to a certain extent around the world. First off, there's the billionaire, I call them the Peckerhead Rocket Club, because they're literally, if you think about Bezos and like Elon Musk, they're literally trying to get away from Earth. They're not looking for an island somewhere. They're trying to get off the planet. So, they don't really care too much about what's happening down here if they can find a way to get off the planet, maybe a space station or something to that effect. Maybe that's why they're doing what they're doing. I'm just saying. And then there's the people that are totally dependent upon the federal government. That's if you look at what's happening with the Democratic Party running Congress and the White House and everything else. They literally are looking like, for instance, you talk about no crisis at the border. They're wanting to get these people, the thing about, I've said this many, many times before, if I was living in Guatemala, I'd want the hell out of there too, and I'd do everything I could to get my family in the United States of America. I don't begrudge them trying to do it, but we have to be a country of law and order. But if you noticed that in the past, immigrants, and I'm not saying the ones coming here aren't looking for the American dream either, but immigrants primarily came across the border looking for work, right? And why do you think the Democrats are now trying to, instead of finding work for these people, they're trying to get them on the public dole as quickly as they possibly can? I firmly believe that that is orchestrated and planned because I think the Democrats are smarter than you might think, and they realize that if these immigrants, legal or whatever, illegal, come here and get a taste of the American dream and what it really means to be free and independent, a rugged individualist in a safe country, they will not vote the way these Democrats think they are. But if they can get them totally dependent upon the federal government, that's why they're giving these immigrants stuff that they don't even give American citizens, right? Because they want these people sucked in to bigger government. So three classes total. The Peckerhead Rocket Club, they're just trying to get the heck out of, we can't even fathom how they live. The people that they want to get locked in government dependence forever. And then there's the rest of us. The rest of us that black, white, Hispanic, whatever, that are just trying to make it. Just trying to make it in the world. And that's why I tell you right now, I actually work with people all the time that work. That's what I'm trying to do. If you notice, I got me a haircut this week. There's a little beautician school right next to where our studio is. I've started where I'm going there and getting my hair cut there. And, they don't charge as much, but I still give them like 20 bucks and a tip and everything else. And I'm going in there mainly, it is convenient for them, but the biggest thing is I want to support people who are trying to support themselves. And I'm very determined to do that. And so that's why I do that. And they did a pretty good job. Bailey was her name. Go check her out. But anyway, to me, it's about support. So you got the Rocket Club people, the government people dependent on the government, and the rest of us. And we need to wake the heck up. The rest of us need to wake up. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's about being an American. But listen to this next. Rachel Michelin, I hope I've said her name right, I guess it's a woman, president of the California Retailers Association, told the New York Times, so this is getting real serious. These are all liberals, California liberal talking to New York Times. Listen to what she said. This level of violence, talking about this smashing and grabbing, has taken it to a whole new level. No one has seen this before. But Billy Bob tells me, like I kind of hinted to earlier, yes, we have. We might not remember. All you got to do is look at some old Westerns. We have seen this before, absolutely. What has changed now? Why is this coming back? This meme right here says it all. It absolutely says it all, and pardon my French, but I got to say it the way it is. The blue line, talking about the blue line of police enforcement. When that breaks, the gates of hell will open up. And that is exactly what is happening around our country. Our cities, our big cities are becoming hell on earth. They really are. How much longer? It's one thing to run away from them, but at some point, we got to face it. And here's the thing I say all the time, but if I say it, it bears repeating. First, let me talk about the military really quickly, because I always thank them. And I worry about the military. We got an all-volunteer force, and I'm grateful to have them. But I ask the question, what if we become a country that is not worth fighting for? That's going to be a problem, Because why would you go in the military and fight for a country that ain't worth fighting for? If they don't believe in freedom of speech, like we talked about the new guy that's taken over Twitter, check out our podcast like I told you. If we're not bound by the First Amendment, if we don't care about the Second Amendment, if we don't care about the Constitution in general, are we a country worth defending anymore? So that's the question. And then now, in the last year or so, and I've always appreciated police officers, but I'm realizing the struggle that it has to be, because they're trying to find people to be cops. They're trying to refund the police in some of these places. But police officers are quitting. Of course, in the great state of Florida, our governor has told police officers to come on down here. We'll hire you and give you a raise, you know, that kind of thing. But think about this, and this goes back to that meme I just showed you up there. You think about a police officer. I've talked about this before, but, you know, if one of my kids came to me and said, Pop, they call me Big Papa, Papa, you know, I'm thinking about becoming a police officer. If they told me that a couple years ago, my first thought would be, man, how proud I am. And I still would be proud, don't misunderstand me. But I would just be like, yeah, man, I'll support you all the way. But right now, I'd still feel that way. But a part of me would be like, you know, I'd have to be honest with my kids and say, do you really think that this is a good time for that? And it breaks my heart to even think about that. But think about it. If you're a police officer, think of the calculus they have to go through every day to go out on their job, because they might not come home. And they look at their family. And don't you think police officers, I'd love to hear from some of y'all, don't you think they actually make a calculation, is it worth it? Is it worth it, you know, to put my life in jeopardy when I've got all this? So if we become a country not worth defending, we're pretty well screwed. But if we become cities and states and counties and a country in general that isn't worth protecting, then all the gates of hell are definitely open. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Back to this story. Retail outlet groups and politicians equally blasted Ocasio-Cortez for her dismissal of the problem. Well, here's one of the people. A person named Jason Brewer, Retail Industrial Leader Association, is otherwise known as RILA. Senior Executive Vice President of Communications said this: respectively, the Congresswoman has no idea what she's talking about, and that may be true. But you know the scarier thing? I want to make this point and we'll keep going. People talk about these Democrats as being incompetent and the Biden administration and all that. What scares me more is, yeah, they could be incompetent, but what if things are going exactly the way they want them to go? What if Ocasio-Cortez is no dummy and she's doing this on purpose because she wants to turn us into some kind of socialist utopia which doesn't exist? So what if everything is orchestrated and going to plan? That scares me more than incompetence. Back to this. So this is the spokesman. Let me read it again here. Jason Brewer, Retail Industry Leader Association. Respectfully, the Congresswoman has no idea what she's talking about, but the data and stack of video evidence makes fairly clear that this is a growing problem in need of solution. I told you, if it keeps getting bad, the dirt nap is the only solution for some of these people. I'm just saying. This retailer went on to say, if she, talking about Ocasio-Cortez, is not concerned with organized theft and increasingly violent attacks on retail employees, she should just say that. And here's something I don't even really want to say, but I think it needs to be said. Does it really matter what these people think? The Retailers Association? The old saying about putting your money where your mouth is. Listen to something. Does it really matter? I want to play you something here in just a moment. This is from a guy that I didn't know much about. His name is Vaughn Mays, and he's from Minneapolis, but he's put out I think an Instagram video right after the Christmas parade in Waukesha, where the gentleman ran through the parade and killed a bunch of people and injured a bunch of people. This is what he said right after that. It's a little hard to hear, but I want you to listen to this. And this guy is a identified Black Lives Matter activist and a leader of that movement in Minnesota. Check it out.
Let me share the screen so you all can see this video of this activist, so-called activist. Whoever this Negro is.
Her words, not mine.
Everyone, please get those likes up. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so.
I don't know. Now we'll have to wait and see because they do have somebody in custody. We may have to wait and see what they say about why this happened. But it sounds like possible that the revolution has started in Wisconsin, starting with this Christmas parade. Now I don't know. Maybe it's something I'm missing, but it's. I said I wasn't gonna speak on the rumors. Y'all are repeating some of the stuff that has come up, and I did tell you that the initial person who reached out to me said that they believe that this has to do with the verdict. And so I made an assumption.
That's good enough. He's talking about the verdict in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that this was a retaliation. I think I said Minnesota. This guy, I apologize, is an activist in Wisconsin and well-known identified Black Lives Matter leader. And he says there that the revolution may have started. So this guy that ran his SUV in this parade and killed women and children and injured, I think 5 or 6, and actually like 40 or 50 people were injured, and there's been a few passed away of their injuries. Yeah, the revolution has started. I wonder if his videos and everything, have they been taken down? Because you talk about a double standard, there is no double standard. There's a standard for people like me. I can go into a YouTube jail and I don't even know why. But this guy can get on Instagram, which I think is connected to Facebook, I do believe, and basically say the revolution has started, talking about charging in with a car into a Christmas parade, and yet their videos are not. But so I ask this question again: does it really matter what some of these? And I'm not talking about every retailer, but these big associations. Because I want to give you some shocking news here in just a minute. At least I hope it shocks you. It probably doesn't. It doesn't shock me because I've known about it for a while. But these big corporations, let alone individuals like Soros and all that, are giving tens of millions, and in case multiple millions of dollars, literally hundreds of millions of dollars, to Black Lives Matter and organizations, which, by the way, Black Lives Matter, I'm not talking about everybody that wears a t-shirt or a hat, but the group itself is a communist Marxist organization hell-bent on bringing down the United States of America. Tell me where I'm wrong. But I'm just going to read you a few of these corporations that jumped out at me. And the list is, there was like 18 in this list. I'm not even going to mention that. But DoorDash. DoorDash is one of the faster growing companies in America. They deliver food and that kind of thing. They gave, these are last year's numbers, so I don't know what they gave this year, but they gave $500,000 to Black Lives Matter. Deckers, which is, a big shoe company. A lot of people wear Deckers. I got some Deckers. They gave another $500,000 to Black Lives Matter. So you wonder why they got to flip houses. Amazon, I asked you earlier, that who is benefiting from all this grab and dash and burning down mom and pops? Amazon. I'm not accusing, Mr. Rocket Man Bezos of orchestrating this. You can figure it out on your own. But Amazon, did they give $500,000? No. Did they give $1 million? Nope. They didn't give them. Did they give $5 million? No. They gave $10 million. $10 million. Now I realize that's couch cushion money for Bezos, but they gave $10 million to Black Lives Matter. This group, and they support violence. You heard what the man just said. This is the start of the revolution. And he's not alone in saying that. And Airbnb, which I've used myself, I like Airbnb. They gave $500,000. I want to play you a little video they put out. I don't think there's any sound to it, but that Airbnb, because I think it's kind of symbolic of what's going on. This is their explanation of why they supported Black Lives Matter. Check it out. I'm going to talk while it's on it, but just watch it as it goes through there. So they make it sound like this is just a civic-minded organization and everything else. It is not. It is not. In fact, it is the enemy of black lives, because there's more and more statistics coming out all the time that the people who are most affected violently by what's happening in our inner cities, these grab and dashes, these street crimes and everything else, is guess who? Black American children, men, women, and children are. It's just a fact, you know. But should all of these, shouldn't they be removed? Should all these companies be removed from, can you imagine if there was a true justice, and I'm not even advocating for this, but if you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts of this, shouldn't Amazon be removed? Because they remove people, right? They control the internet to a certain extent. Shouldn't Amazon be taken off the air? Shouldn't they be off of social media? They gave $10 million to this organization last year that is responsible for billions to a certain extent, certainly advocating for billions. I played you the video last week, we're not going to play it, where the woman out in Chicago says this, she's an identified Black Lives Matter spokesperson, saying that this is just reparations. You know, Ocasio-Cortez, they're just looking for bread. I don't see them running down the street with bread. You know, it's just crazy. But shouldn't they be taken off the air? Well, I know they won't be, and I'm not even advocating that they be. I'm just trying to wake people up, man. But I guess the real thing is we're just going to have to build our own. We're going to have to build our own social media network. I'm not just talking about me and people behind the scenes at Excluded and Big Daddy Unlimited, but we collectively as conservatives have got to build our own. I tell you all the time, not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those of us in the fight. So I appreciate you watching us. We're going to stay on all these social media sites until they run us off, but we need to support shows like mine, not just me. Support conservatives, supports conservative sites. That's why I'm so grateful to be on Rumble. It seems to be a bastion of free speech, at least at the moment. So you need to tell people about places like Rumble. Get them to look at videos there. And if you have suggestions for how we can increase our reach, I am open to it. But we have got to take control of our own situation, because you know, if you listen to the Democrats, our country is going to hell in a handbasket, as they say. But if you listen to Democrats, there's no crisis. It's just a myth. All right, we got a few minutes left. I want to get into this story. To me, this is a Christmas story. You know, like what is the Christmas movies, they say, the Bruce Willis Christmas movies and all that. There are different types of Christmas movies, but to me, this is a Christmas story. It doesn't start with, you know, once upon a time. But anyway, this is from the Washington Post. GOP congressman's gun-toting family Christmas photo sparks outrage days after social shooting. And this is a congressman from the great state of Kentucky. I love that shot myself. I hope he went shot. By the way, Congressman, if you want to get a good pricing on that, go to Big Daddy Unlimited. Look above the video, no matter when or where you're watching, and check out the BDU link. You probably could have saved money. And he may have done it, if, you know, just be a supporter of the show. But listen to this. They are looking straight at the camera, talking about this family, smiling wide. The parents are sitting on a black leather couch. Don't know why that's picked out, in front of a festive Christmas tree that is flanked by younger members of the family. It would be a standard holiday family portrait if no one except for one unexpected detail. Everyone in the images is holding a long gun. Oh my God! I love it myself. I mean, to me, it says Merry Christmas. I guarantee it is. People think long and hard before they home invade those folks. And remember, just this past week, there was a great music executive, I don't remember his name at the moment, but his lovely wife, they've been married for like 60, 70 years. They home invaded her and killed her in her own home, and they caught the guy breaking into another home right down the street. And, you know, they were black, he was black, and none of their lives seemed to matter. To me, all lives matter. It's just crazy, man. But no one's probably going to home invade. The photo was posted on Twitter by Representative Thomas Massey, Republican of Kentucky. And he's a new hero. I don't know much about the congressman. On Saturday, along with the caption, Merry Christmas, P.S. Santa, please bring ammo. Hey, BDU, that's if you want ammo, go above the show no matter when or where you're watching it. But yeah, I title this White Folks with Guns. Yeah, because I guess supposedly the scariest thing in America now, according to the Democrats, the progressives, is a white, especially a white dude like me with a gun. Now, I don't have one. They're not too far away from me, by the way, but that's one thing about the circles I travel in. I feel like between my old Tea Party friends, some Republican friends, and friends of mine at BDU, when I walk around and hang out with these folks, man, I feel like I got more coverage than the Secret Service, because I guarantee, if you see me in a crowd of people walking, I'd leave us alone, because I guarantee you at least half of them are packing legally. So I'm just telling you. But so I titled this "White Folks with Guns," but I want to play you this video because it's not about white folks, black folks, red, whatever, yellow. It's about American people and their use of the Second Amendment. I'm going to play you this video in just a moment. It's a year or so old. But this is the husband, a retired police officer, of the Attorney General out in, or the District Attorney, I'm sorry, in Los Angeles, named Jackie Lacey. And she was having some issues with Black Lives Matter back then. And so they decided to come to her home at, I think, about 1 o'clock in the morning. And there was over 100 of them outside on the street. The video doesn't show it. But they came up and knocked on and rang the doorbell of Miss Jackie Lacey, and her husband wasn't too happy about it. Check it out.
Right now, get off.
Good morning.
Get off of my porch.
Shoot me?
I will shoot you. Get off of my porch.
Can you tell Jackie Lacey that we're here?
I don't care who you are. Get off of my porch
Get off your
right
porch.
now.
Can you tell
We're
me?
calling the police right
Good.
now.
Good.
It's about Americans. It's not about color. This is what the left does. Now, they try to make everything about color. It's not about color except red, white, and blue. I've told you all the time that I believe not only obviously in our Constitution it's an inalienable God-given right, but I believe it's a basic human right to protect yourself, your family, your property, your home from invasion, whether these people are coming. It is your God-given right, and I would say it's a basic human right. Now, I realize there are many, many places where they don't have that right, and that may be one of the reasons why some people are coming here. But this is about bleeding red, white, and blue, and make sure your red blood stays in you. And so to me, people like Ocasio-Cortez, people can keep, spouting all this crap all they want, but at some point, it's going to change, and it may not be pretty. But, the Wild West has been the Wild West before. Now we're wild at all of our cities. And American people are only going to take so much. They're buying guns in record numbers. And it ain't to protect them from the boogeyman. It's to protect them from the street thugs, regardless of color. So all I'm trying to tell you out there, you keep pushing. You progressives keep pushing. Coddling these criminals, which is I'll close with this. I don't understand that part. I understand you don't believe in police officers. I don't agree. But how can you coddle these criminals? And keep in mind that Joe Biden's campaign staff, as well as Vice President Kamala Harris herself, bailed out people that were charged with violent crimes and went on to commit more violent crimes. And God help us, they're in the White House right now. But at some point, hell is coming to breakfast, from Josie Wells. Check that out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to all our social media sites, like them, share them with others. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Remember our sponsors like Big Daddy Unlimited. Let's all pray for this nation because she needs it and I think deserves it more than ever. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.